Hey everybody, last talk of the day. Just want to remind everybody, we are clearing out of here after this last talk, so just a heads up. Again, want to thank our sponsors. If you have any feedback about the conference or about particular sessions, you can go to bsides.com/feedback for conference feedback, or on the schedule, go to a particular session and click the feedback survey button. We have one last raffle to do. We're going to do that immediately after this. And besides that, I think that's it. I want to welcome the guys from Intermedia. We have Ryan, we have Ninad, and Dylan. And they're going to be talking about employee hijacking, building a Hacktober awareness program. There you go. Thank you. Okay, time is quick, so I'm going to move fast. So this is the team. This is Mr. Dylan, Mr. Ninad, and I'm Ryan. And let's talk about what we did. So first, a little bit about us. We're a cloud service provider, Intermedia, about 800 employees, just to give you the size of the company, 6 corporate offices in 3 countries, and we do a bunch of cloud stuff, which the colors are kind of obscuring. But all right, what we'll talk about. We'll talk about why we did it, what it is, a review of some of the hacks and campaigns that we ran against our employees, some of the feedback and lessons learned that we had, and advice for getting started. So this is kind of why. When I look at some of our top threats, the easy stuff is the network, the application stuff. It's easier than the employee, and I think we've known that for a while. And so, like, securing the human and the whole SANS piece really sparked my interest in terms of driving my security program forward. And I think the guys at Facebook about 5 years ago started a Hacktober program that really inspired me when I read all the articles about what they had done. I thought, I'm going to give this a try myself. So for those of you who haven't heard of it, the goal is kind of like, I liken it to your employees are like teenagers. They don't know how to drive. You're going to put them in a car, throw them onto a track, wet it down, it's all going to be padded, and you're going to let them crash really safely into the barriers and learn in a consequence-free environment what it's like to handle digital information safely and make mistakes in a way that isn't going to screw the company and screw them as an employee. So safe learning, fun, engaging. As much as we could, we tried to architect the lessons directly into the campaigns in a way that was automated, so it would be much more scalable. They could just learn what they did wrong immediately and move on. I didn't have to come and meet with them personally. All right, so the rules are pretty simple. I send out an email about 6 weeks ahead of time before the campaign starts, and I say, hey, don't hack your colleagues. We're the ones doing the hacking. Report spotted hacks to security, and if you spot a hack, we'll give you a prize. All right, so what do? We did a bunch of different campaigns. We did some phishing campaigns, which are, everybody's pretty much running those now. Rogue wireless access points, social engineering on our support staff. We did puzzles with CTFs to engage employees and let them get involved in other ways. We dropped USB keys, and we did tailgating for physical security penetration testing. All right, so spotting the fish. So Dylan's going to talk a little bit about building the program. The goal was, look, the employees are just getting tons of email, and they have to differentiate between the ones that are crap and the ones that have malware and or are trying to get them to transfer money or do something tricky. So the goal was just to create enticing mails, fish them as hard as we could, sort of step back and profit and watch the statistics hopefully decline. So Dylan will walk through how we actually built that and what that looks like.
Great, thanks Ryan. Phishing your employees is fun. One thing that's important is to make sure that you have your campaigns targeted towards things that your users are used to seeing in their mailboxes on a day-to-day basis. You want to make sure that the phishing websites that you're sending your users to are created very well. You want to make sure that you have this database of metadata that you can pull from to create these emails. And of course, you need to code a mailer. You're not going to send these manually. You're going to want to make sure that you have a good, clear lesson of why you're doing this to the employee so they don't feel shamed. You're absolutely going to want to monitor this. And you're also going to want to report on it. Layoffs, right? No, I'm kidding. Absolutely important to plan this, your campaigns. You want to make sure that everything is ready to go. And it's very important, like, what is your campaign? Like I said earlier, you want to make sure that it's targeted for things that your employees are going to see every day. So for us, first thing is people love free stuff. So we sent them some Amazon gift cards for being the best employee. We, in our database that I'll talk about in a little bit, we actually sent these emails from their managers. So they thought they were special. These ones didn't actually collect credentials like the other campaigns we did. These were actually for drive-by downloads. And so if they clicked through, they would receive a nice cat GIF downloaded to their system. And we could track that based off of some logs and things that we had collecting. We did Amazon and we did Ozon for our overseas office. The credential collecting malware, emails we sent were for our payroll system and also for our Dropbox-like product called SecureSync. So first off, with the payroll system, people want to get paid. So if you tell them that they need to update their information in the payroll system or they're not getting paid, they're going to click the link, they're going to update it, they're going to give the creds, and you can kind of laugh about that. For the file sharing, your manager accidentally just shared all the salary information with you, this confidential folder. Click here, give it credentials to the web page, and fail. So kind of the bits and pieces, you absolutely want to make sure you have an exact duplicate of the website. Your users will notice a broken image, things aren't working correctly, especially if they visit this site on a daily basis. You're absolutely going to want to get domains that are registered as close as possible as you can to the real domain. If the website has SSL, buy an SSL cert, $5 at Namecheap. As a tip, don't collect the passwords. Don't save those to your SQL database. And just to touch on the database, for us, populating the email messages, these were some bits and pieces that we kind of came up with. For filtering, we used department, office location. We kind of just built these tables in SQL and use these for the emails to populate the little variables in there with their first name, last name, and yada yada. So you need to figure that out, like what's going to be relevant for your campaigns in the database. Unique identifier, very important for reporting and tracking. To build this, I used PHP. Don't judge. So you're going to want to use, again, to populate your email templates, you're going to want to use the info from your database and automate this as much as possible. The unique identifier will allow you to track and report. You can utilize, utilizing Splunk and also pulling in the Apache logs, we're able to take this unique identifier that we attach to the URLs in the phishing emails and kind of create little pretty dashboards in Splunk off of that and see who clicked what, correlate that, and see who needs a talking to. You absolutely want to test this. Don't fuck it up. You need to test it. I sent these guys emails all night, several times, testing it out to make sure it works because you get one shot. Just to touch on these last bits here, this is a lesson page. This was for the payroll campaign. This is what we create. Create this urgency. You need to click this and give us your credentials now. And teach them a lesson, basically telling them what they should have looked for in these email messages before actually providing creds. Lastly, this was our fun page. This was a real-time monitoring. We could watch people's creds come in real time. And this was for our eyes only. Nobody else saw this, but we did a wall of Hacktober instead of a wall of sheep. But that's that. I'm going to hand this back to Ryan now to talk about the statistics.
Dead mic. That's really hard to read. I get that, but this was awesome. When we would just sit back and watch the candy roll in of users clicking and giving us their passwords, and it was ridiculous. I mean, not just like Jane Finance and Joe Marketing. It was like senior engineers that should know better clicking through and like, oh yeah, here's my password. Crazy. Okay, so here's the statistics. We ran 3 different campaigns, and I call a campaign is like the one of those emails that you saw, like, so the payroll would be a campaign. But we send that out to multiple offices. So the first one is, Dylan was mentioning, we went small and just like, hey, how's this work? You know, we were like building the scripts, the database. So the first one I went out, and I mean, this is really embarrassing, but this is bad. 66% clicked on the link. 44% gave us their password. That's horrible. Payroll, 700 emails went out. That's almost the whole company. Dropped precipitously. Then at the end, gift cards, you get the picture. You hit them every, couple weeks, and they start learning. And I mean, our CEO was like, "Hey, you didn't get me." So it was really great. The amount of support we had from the executive staff was awesome to actually pull this off. USB flash drives. That's fun. That's actually a senior director at our company picking that up. But he didn't plug it in. So he brought it straight over. This is awesome. So I'd sprinkle them around to the entrances to the buildings, and I'd hang out in the conference room with my phone and just wait and see who picked them up. And so he brought it straight. Thankfully, he didn't plug it in. He brought it straight over to us and said, "Hey, found this. Is this Hacktober?" And we said, "Yeah." We'd give him a shirt or a prize or something like that. So he feels good that he did the right thing. He didn't plug it in. And Nanad's going to tell us a little about. I'll get there. So there weren't just dumb USB drives. We actually really thought about this one to seed them with documents that would be really interesting to click on, like salary survey, things like that, and they would make outbound connections back to our data collection server. So this thing is really tough to read, but essentially the document would pop up, say. It'd be a bunch of ciphertext. It'd be kind of gibberish. And it would say, hey, enable your macros, which you're not supposed to do. That's exactly what malware is trying to get you to do. And when you did, it popped up and said, like, here's the lesson. You screwed up. This is a common method, blah, blah, blah. This is the list of documents that we created enticing file names for. But they were all laced with code to phone home back to us and give us a little bit of data on like who they were. So this goes back to Splunk, and it would tell us, which document they opened, the time, their workstation name, their IP address. They were screwed. I mean, if they plugged it in, and we could tell the difference between if they plugged it in, or if they plugged it in and opened the document, or if they plugged it in and opened the document and enabled macros. So each step was, there was nowhere to hide. Okay, now it's going to talk to us about the Rogue Access Point program.
Thank you, Ryan. So the rogue access points, they are mainly, the hardware is a Raspberry Pi, and they run a few open source programs like the Raspbian OS, which is like Debian, and a few custom built programs like we've coded them in-house. What do they do? The primary purpose is to broadcast an open wireless network, collect information about the client that connected to them, and send it up to we use Clunk, so as log information. It also helps in reimaging USB drives. It also helps in detecting if between the time we threw it out and whether someone plugged it in. So when someone brings it back, we can identify on the Raspberry Pis whether this device was plugged in at all or not. Let's take a look at the design. We have multiple offices throughout the world. So each office gets a Raspberry Pi of its own. Once they are plugged in, once they are powered on, they start broadcasting our open wireless network. And we have a single command and control server on the internet. It's like a simple CNC server. But what it does is it waits for connections from these Raspberry Pis also. And they start talking to each other. And we can share information like who has connected to our bots, what is going on, constant telemetry data. And it also is responsible for, or whether it lets us send information to these bots that, hey, change your SSID to this, change your BSSID to this, or load this new program, or here's a new configuration. Or even we can send it one-time instructions like sleep for the next 20 minutes or so. And this also reports data back into Splunk for us to analyze. What does it look like when someone connects to these bots? They are supposed to be displayed an informational message. In addition to this, we also send an audio file. So there's an audio indicator just for fun at times. So if someone in the office connects to these bots or connects to these open access points by mistake or deliberately, there's also a visual indicator that something's going on. And here's a message that they also see. What information do we collect? Once we have all the aggregated information on, we use Splunk. So once this log data goes into Splunk, we collect a list of unique devices. So this is like a sample dashboard that we use. We are constantly we have this in front of us during Hacktober. We also fluctuate the signal strength for fun. For someone with who's a little curious and wants to find out where are these access points, they generally use a wireless signal strength meter to identify the location. So it makes it a little bit harder to locate these. Then we collect other information like what is the status of a bot at any point in time and their location, the geolocation. And what are the wireless parameters that they are using. So since we change this as and when required, it gives us like a single page that we can go to see what's happening. And most importantly, this is our list of victims that I've collected, that we have seen. In addition to all of this, the bot also has a capture the flag like puzzle hidden on it. On the landing page, we have a hidden message that says, like, if you're curious, just sniff on ICMP. And for someone who goes further, we have a hidden message that you can see in the highlighted packet. Someone is supposed to go to this single page, to this URL, which then leads them to another puzzle, which asks them to do some sort of port knocking, and it gives them a hint on what to do next. In this case, it's the Fibonacci, the first 5 Fibonacci numbers. And we congratulate them once they've cracked the puzzle. When anyone cracks the puzzle, we also get notified via Splunk that we use a particular software called KnockD, which is KnockDemon, for doing this. And once we have this, we know someone cracks a puzzle. Next, Ryan is going to talk about tailgating.
Just after I try to find a hot mic. What I will say about that, the Rogue AP thing that was a hidden benefit, which was really cool, was it helped us detect a whole bunch of Intel wireless adapters that were misconfigured throughout our endpoints that were configured to automatically connect to open APs. And so we just started seeing all these victims rolling in, and we're like, what is going on with this? And it was the same people over and over again, so actually had a dual benefit. Tailgating. So that was one thing we decided to try, was have a stranger, a guest, come in. It was actually the son of one of our employees who's no longer with us. He brought in his 18-year-old son, and we gave him a bunch of boxes and just told him to start going around to different doors in the buildings and just trying to act like, hey, I'm just a new guy, I'm here, can you let me in? And he got in all the time. It was not good. So that was, I think, our biggest learning lesson. How weak that was. All right, so some of the posters, I'll run through these really quick. So this is actually one of the posters that we created and shipped those out to all the offices. And so these just showed up mysteriously around Hacktober, and you could read on there the barcode, says Intermediate Hacktober and LeetSpeak. And people will just be like, what am I supposed to do with this? And it asked for clues, and we're like, look, just go figure it out. It's, maybe there's something there. And people were so paranoid of us hacking them that they wouldn't even scan the barcodes. They're just like, you guys are going to own me on my phone? No, I'm not even going to do that. But once they dug in a little bit, you glue together, once you glue together the QR codes in the order of our color of our logo, then you put together a URL, leads to a Wikipedia about code 39 and NFC tags, and look for that. And we ordered NFC tags and glued them on the back of the puzzles, so there was some other stuff to find there. Bottom line is it led you to a secret portal, which you got to decode the password and log in, and they gave you a code that, which if you presented it to us, you got your prize. So people loved it. The prizes were great. People love swag, mug stickers, privacy guards. They just like to elevate themselves amongst their fellow employees and say, hey, look, I caught the hack, and that's cool. I mean, security awareness is not like a cool topic that employees generally think about as something fun. And so we saw this whole different conversation starting to happen around the offices globally, which was people really excited about the buzz, what was going to happen, what were the hacks going to be this year, how can I win a prize? I hope I get one this year. So that was something that kind of discourse is a win. Talking about, oh, I hope I don't get phished this year. How did you catch that phishing attack last time? That kind of conversation never happens when you do a CBT-based security awareness campaign. It just doesn't. So that kind of stuff was a huge benefit. Some of the feedback was they just loved it. They thought it was cool. Some of them learned stuff. Some of them didn't. Others became experts. Other people got pissed off. But that's okay. Most people thought it was really cool and they liked it. All right, looking forward, what can we do better? Start earlier. If there's anything I tell you to do, start early. This takes a little bit of time, but just start. Don't worry about trying to make it perfect. This is going to be 2016 will be our 3rd year doing it, and we're already start working on our artwork now, and we're going to order all our stuff for October. Phishing quarterly would be a more consistent awareness. So as you saw, the declining arrow, like touching them, that was 3 campaigns in a month. So we told ourselves we were going to start phishing these guys every quarter and just randomly hitting them with all kinds of crappy campaigns that they wouldn't know where it would come from, and that would just kind of keep them on their toes and paranoid throughout the whole year instead of just once a year. We only did tailgating one office. We were single-threaded. It was a little difficult. Coordination of other global hacks and time we didn't have. We had ambassadors in each office, so people needed to help us set up the pies and take delivery and hand out prizes and stuff like that. So getting clear instructions to them would have been much more helpful. So wrapping up, start early, check with management, get some support. A very small budget gets you going. Notify your employees and victims about 6 weeks out, and just get started. It's a good time, and it has a lot of benefits that I think that you really can't put your finger on unless you do it. So thanks. Oh yeah, and we're hiring.
A question for you, gentlemen.
Oh yeah, questions, right.
Hey, you guys generated a lot of great material for this. Would you guys consider putting out on GitHub with your company? That way you can publish all the wireless cracks and the
Right. We knew we were going to get that question. We're still thinking about it. I'm still running it past the lawyer. And if he says yes, then I think it's fine. Yeah.
All right, who else wants their secrets? Come on. Any other questions? Here we go.
Hey, so I was wondering if you have any statistics of how the employees improved their security awareness over 3 years of Hacktober's.
Well, we definitely have the phishing statistics. I think that, but we only have 1 year of that, and we did having everything, all the data going back into Splunk really helps. Pulling out the entire user database and putting it into a separate database so that we know the first name, last name, the manager, their title. That really helps drive KPIs and statistics around who clicked on what and allowed us to phish them directly from their managers. That was awesome. That is probably my best statistic so far. In the first year we did it, we just didn't even know if we were going to fail horribly, and so we really didn't bother keeping statistics too much. Just see if we could do it, and if they didn't fire us immediately for hacking everybody, then that was a win. I think this year we're going to keep much better statistics, right, guys?
Well, yeah, that'll be cool to see if the exercises actually work, right? Obviously employees change over the years,
right?
But still, as a number and the success of the exercise.
Yeah. One thing they weren't doing is plugging in USBs. I don't know if the younger generation is like, what's that? The first year we did it, we did CD-ROMs and USBs. And like sprinkled CD-ROMs throughout the office with confidential, and people are like, what's a CD-ROM? I don't even have that CD reader thing on my, what is this rainbow disc? Any other questions?
Going once, going twice.
Thank you, guys. And feel free to email us if you have any other questions.
Thank you guys so much. And again, on behalf of Security B-Sides, and thanks to one of our sponsors, here are some Fitbits.